Good day to all of you. It's been a little chaotic here trying to get this reading off the ground. First of all, I woke up, well, I have to get this done upon awakening, so you'll forgive me for being a little bit hazy. That's generally how I tend to feel in the morning. I still have a little bit of a lingering cough too, so I apologize if I start coughing in the middle of this reading. What can I tell you? It is a busy, intense week that we have ahead of us, and pulling cards for it was like pulling teeth, to be perfectly frank. I pulled a bunch of cards, and then as I was reading it, I just kept getting this strong intuition that I needed to start all over. Sometimes I think it comes down to the way that my brain is interpreting the cards, and Spirit sort of gives us a nudge to state that, no, you're going off on a tangent, telling yourself a story that really is not appropriate for the broader collective. So I started again, and I pulled cards, and then I started trying to pull clarifiers on the tarot, and nothing would come out. So I figure we'll try that while I'm actually recording this with you. I'm recording this Sunday morning, so tomorrow afternoon, Pacific Standard Time, that is, around 3:47, I think, we have the full moon in Cancer, which comes right on the heels of the nodes of the moon shifting from the Sagittarius-Gemini axis to Scorpio-Taurus, which indicates a massive Wheel of Fortune turning into a new karmic cycle. So, you may have found yourself in the position where you've been feeling very tested on the lessons that the Sagittarius-Gemini influences will have had on your life over the last year and a half. And of course, what is that? It's moving out of traditional structures and beliefs, I should emphasize beliefs, into new dynamism, allowing for new understandings, a broader sense of curiosity about life, and how that informs your journey. I think in many ways what that is it probably manifests, I can certainly speak for myself, as a move away from certain rigid, lifelong conditions in terms of values that are, they've, over the course of the last 18 months, have sort of been challenged, broken down, perhaps even eradicated by force, or even quietly dissipated by circumstance and by shifting experiences in your own life. Again, apologies, I am still waking up, and my brain is not always 100% functional, so I'm allowing myself to just sort of release words in the hope that they come directly from source. And interestingly, we get a lot of this dynamism in our reading, where we get indications exactly of what it is that we're leaving behind, what that structured belief was built upon, and a strong emphasis on us coming into an understanding of how much we manifest for ourselves. And I think what's important to remember as we move into Scorpio-Taurus as the influences is, Scorpio is the mystical. It's also all related to death, to poverty consciousness in our human condition in many ways too, because the scorpion stings, right? So to have to sting is to be in defense of something rather than being in the fullness of your being, in a full embrace of that. Taurus makes us more aware of what we what finery of life drives us, what's really important to us, what grounds us in our life, in our energetic flow, what makes us want to be present. But of course, on a more macrocosmic, global level, we are likely to see a lot of challenges to our infrastructural systems, government, particularly in finance. I would imagine in the next year and a half, we will see our financial systems be seriously challenged, if not potentially we may see collapse. But also there's the innovation of Uranus being in Taurus at the same time. And Uranus does go direct on Tuesday after being retrograde for some time, which will also bring a lot of innovation and unexpected forward movement for us personally and in the big picture. So add that into the mix, and I think you get a sense of where everything's shifting. There may have been this sense of not so much being in limbo, but maybe a lot of the inner shifts were unexpected. Maybe you found yourself feeling things that you didn't anticipate feeling, and this now is going to start manifesting more externally, if that makes any sense at all. Again, I'm struggling, not just because I'm sleepy, but also because this energy is kind of haphazard and chaotic and we're literally the energetic shifts are taking hold right now. So how that manifests is almost impossible for anyone to foresee. But it is very real, and there is a real intensity to it, and I would say just keep grounding yourself in the present moment in the week to come and the weeks to come, because that's going to be what we need in order to move forward, right? Okay, so have I covered all of the astrology? There's other things. Again, I will bring... What? Oh God. What are you doing? Excuse me. Mister, what's the matter with you? What is it? Dear, excuse me 1 second. Baby, what is happening to you? What is it? What's the matter? Are you okay? You okay, baby? Ow! I guess you are then. I love you. Sorry about that. Some kind of bizarre wheezing attack from my cat. Chaos. Again, there are no accidents. I suppose that was a little message for us somehow. I'm not sure what. Okay, fine. I didn't even pull a spirit animal oracle card, but Enzo seems determined to, like, force us to take one. So, I'll go with it. Fine. So, there is a strong emphasis on shifting out of poverty consciousness, no matter what that represents for you at this very moment in your life. And so, what I was going to talk about before we were interrupted is that Venus in retrograde has been really doing quite a number on us, I would say, predominantly in the sense that a lot of our emotional responses, a lot of our emotional attachments, a lot of the ways that we're accustomed to handling our emotions have been under the microscope, and we've sort of been having to, not consciously, but just you probably had moments where you felt certain feelings that maybe you haven't felt in a long time, or you've experienced certain emotional difficulties that you haven't known how to express or how to categorize, or there's just some kind of inner emotional, I want to say, revolution taking place. It may be a revolution in the sense that how it manifests later in your life, you know, once you've processed those things. I can't sit still for some reason. Should I just get into the cards? Because honestly, I feel like I'm speaking about a lot of different things that probably the cards will do a good enough job of expressing without having to filter through my brain fog. Spirit Animal Oracle card of the week, upon insistence by Enzo. Koi fish spirit, there is always enough. Number 36. The koi fish who grows big within a small pond reminds us that within each of us is the potential for prosperity. The law of abundance ensures that prosperity is our natural state, so regardless of temporary outer conditions, you can call in prosperity, and magnetically attract the opportunities and abundance you need. The message of koi fish spirit is to begin to generate wealth within, which, with deliberate intention, no matter how small your pond may seem, and appreciate abundance wherever you see it. Outer conditions will come to reflect your inner prosperity, so begin to become the self who is comfortable with wealth in all its forms. Even if at the moment it feels as if riches are not yours, they soon will be. Start to envision the plenty that Spirit wants you to experience, knowing that the moment you begin to commit to conscious and deliberate co-creating, Spirit will joyfully start bringing you what you need. You have so much to offer and so much of value to express to the world. In your little pond, there is much you can create and much you can attract. Do not underestimate what you have and who you are, for koi fish spirit wants you to know that you are exquisite, loved, and deeply cherished. Trust that outer conditions are changing to reflect that truth. And that is the full moon in Cancer for you there, because I didn't actually specify the energy of the full moon in Cancer, because I didn't want to get into, again, like I said about this reading in general right now, I didn't want to go into the traditional astrological explanations or even take cues from the cards without context, because I feel like the Uranus energy is very, very potent right now, along with the full moon energy. I mean, they are converging, and that is making, there's almost a prerequisite to just function from a place of knowing that there is nothing that can be predetermined at this very moment in time, but expect change and expect shifts and expect I keep hearing the word radical shifts. Radical shifts. So, Koi Fish Spirit was just talking to us about our worth. It's a very Taurian energy there, Uranus being in Taurus. And because it's a full moon in Cancer, and that water energy is more emotionally driven, and this is a huge opportunity for release of the unnecessary and unneeded, right on the verge of those nodes shifting. I would say that there's a massive release within the next 24 to 48 hours in your life, and over the course of the week, because the moon energy, of course, will last for about a week to 2 weeks after the full moon, as we lead up to the next new moon. And everything about this seems grounded in emotion. So while Koi Fish Spirit was talking to us about abundance, and there was sort of more of an emphasis on the material side of that, I do get this strong feeling that this is more about abundance of your wealth in relationships, your wealth in terms of what you believe you can manifest in your life, what you can attract into your life, in terms of other people, community, friendships, etc. How you master your emotions in relationships. And our Soul's Journey lesson card came out in the reverse. It was the grief card. So the indication is that this is what we're releasing, is grief. And I think grief is a very interesting concept, a very interesting emotion, in the sense that we all tend to think that we resolve grief when we no longer consciously feel it. And that's a very linear approach, of course, to our emotions, right? Because the idea is that, you know, okay, so we lose someone or something, and then we grieve it for 6 months, 6 years, whatever it takes for us individually, and then we get back to normal, right? That's the concept. I mean, it's almost an adolescent fantasy version of grief, because, you know, when you're more resilient in your youth, because you have that naivety of, you know, the idea that you can revive and replenish endlessly without being tarnished by the experience before. Of course, again, I say tarnished because that's the process at that point in your life. You know, you like eventually become tarnished, so then you have to unravel from all of that and learn how to integrate it into your life in a healthy, constructive manner, right? So anyway, I'm talking in circles. Grief, what is in you fundamentally that is still related to grief that you will be letting go of with this full moon in Cancer, and with this karmic shift into these new nodal energies, because that is the key to the next chapter, is fully releasing whatever that grief is. And let's read the grief card, taking into consideration that it is in reverse, and this is what we're releasing. I understand that losing something is an opportunity to appreciate it. Nothing is gone forever. The belief that we have lost someone or something is merely an illusion to assist us in learning to appreciate our having had it in the first place. The emotion of grief and the sense of loss are absolutely real, but that is the point. The lesson of loss is not about the actual physical separation, because the parting is temporary and illusory. The point of the lesson is to acknowledge that the bonds of love never end, and that we have not been abandoned. When you accept in your heart that you will be reunited with everything you have ever loved, it will give you the ability to move beyond your grief and derive something beneficial from the experience. To wallow in grief is to pass up the opportunity that you and your soul family have devised and learn nothing from it. Instead, allow your grief to take you to a place of deeper understanding. Again, it's almost impossible. It really is the most bizarre reading, because all of these seem like these vast concepts that it's very fragmented. So I am not seeing how to gel these things right now. So I won't apologize, because obviously it's the way it's meant to be. And maybe it will just come out naturally, because our next cards from our Sacred Destiny Oracle card may explain that. We have Healing, Chaos, and Enlightenment. So again, there is this strong emphasis on the idea that moving out of grief, moving out of poverty consciousness that usually comes as a result of grief in some shape or form, will allow us to heal this chaos, and come into a sense of enlightenment. So it's almost so simple that I have no way of elaborating on that. I suppose that is pretty self-explanatory. Maybe that's the problem, is that I'm looking too hard to figure out how to find deeper meanings in things, when the cards are right here to tell us. Because our Sufi Wisdom Oracle card is the following: live in the moment. What you are looking for is with you. I mean, and there can't really be anything more Uranian, in all honesty. No, you're very naughty. I'm not sure what you're doing today, but this is not the right time for you to have a little cuckoo moment. And I am not a piece of meat. Stop trying to bite my leg. Ouch. Ow! No! Stop it, mister. I don't want to play right now. I'm very busy. Sorry that you have to see all this chaos. Be drunk, for you know not whence you came, nor why. Stay drunk, for you know not why you go, nor where. Omar Khayyam. A soft voice is reminding you that what you are looking for is already within you. It wants you to open your hand and see what you already hold in it. There is no need to wait to see what will happen. All you have ever longed for is here in this moment, right now. Let go of your clever schemes and be the beauty you are. Let joy change you into an expanding universe. Surrender into the marvelous aliveness you feel, and let the sun anoint you with its light. Omar Khayyam likens the state of being lost in love to being drunk with feeling beyond time and place. He reminds you to benefit from your own life-giving creative power rather than focusing on past concerns. Living in the moment means utilizing all your senses and staying in the experience of how it feels. By concentrating your attention on the present, you are better able to live each moment as it happens, necessary in a big Uranus shift. You will have the opportunity to recharge, renew, and to relearn to use your energy to enjoy whatever it is you are doing in each moment. Dear one, when you are more positive and optimistic in the present, you live and experience your life rather than thinking about it. You will be open to the possibility of a much more positive and promising future. Your relationships will be more satisfying, for these changes can heighten your self-esteem and make you more open to the truth. The message is to live your life to the fullest, to make every moment count, and to do it now. Be more spontaneous. And I will say before I read the mantra that came to me through some time spent with a person who's quite dear to me, who called me out on that and basically said to me, you know what, Alex, you are living a fear-driven life. You create lots of conditions for yourself to live by that are based upon fear. And no, what the hell are you doing? Stop it. Stop biting everything. You're crazy. Stop it. What is going on with you? Very naughty. It really is quite ridiculous if you could see what's happening. But obviously Enzo is embodying the energy of this particular moment in time. Anyway, I was sharing about the fear-driven perspective because, again, I think that that's very grief-driven and it's something that requires a conscious effort for release. So here is the mantra. Listen, I'm going to have to tell you something right now. You come here, I'm going to see you. I want to see what's going on. Do you have something wrong with your mouth? Let me see. No. No. So what are you doing, you naughty boy? Why are you doing all these naughty things while I'm filming? Who's a troublemaker? I do love you. Off you go. Just do something constructive with your time. Be present in the moment, but don't chew on anything. I have no idea what I was talking about anymore. I mean, I vaguely do, but I think I was in the middle of the syntax of the sentence and didn't complete it, and so I'm not going to try to. I'm living in the moment, right? Hopefully you got what you needed to from what I just said. Oh, the mantra. We didn't read the mantra, did we? There we go. I will not let yesterday crowd out today, and I will not let fear of tomorrow dominate my actions and thoughts. I am determined to live more consciously and fully experience each moment as it comes. And fully experiencing each moment as it comes means actually putting yourself into life. You know, a lot of us we're passive observers of life, right? And then before you know it, life has passed you by. And there's nothing wrong with that. Time and space is an illusion, right? But at the same time, I mean, we may as well get the most out of it. I mean, I've always been pretty adventurous, but most of my adventurousness has come with a great deal of discomfort because I wasn't given the tools to prepare myself for the kinds of radical change that I always courted in my life. Mostly because underneath it all in my soul, I knew that I deserved more, that I wanted more, that I had to have more experiences, that I'm not here to have a restricted experience of life. And in recent times, because my life has become very, very materialistically driven, just to give myself a sense of security, I have developed a form of tunnel vision when it comes to the experience of life. And then in the last month or two, I felt these pangs, this like deep frustration for not having the emotional fulfillment that I desire, not having the full spectrum of experience imbued in my path. So the only way that can change is if I take off all of those, 8 of Swords blinders and start taking more risks. Having the faith that I am exactly where I need to be, exactly interacting exactly in the way I need to in order to level up and find the next opportunities, the people that I need to learn from, etc., etc. And of course, it's not to say that those things haven't been happening on some level subconsciously anyway, but certainly fear and grief get in the way of, they just reduce your scope over the course of time to such a degree, and it happens so naturally and so gradually that you don't really realize how narrow your path has become and how dissatisfied perhaps you feel with those restrictions. And again, there's no judgment, there's no problem with being in that, but at the same time, you eventually have to wake up from all dreams, and that's all they are. We create dreams into reality, and if we don't do it consciously, if we don't do it intentionally, then you can find yourself in a nightmare. But as I said to my sister yesterday, you can't awaken from the dream unless you know you're asleep. Well, that wasn't exactly what I said, but it was somewhere along those lines. I think I said that you cannot become awake if you don't recognize that there is a dream. Something like that. Again, as you can see, my brain is not going to cooperate with intellectualism right now. So you can tune out if you don't want to listen to me ramble anymore. I get it, but the messages are still there regardless, so it's up to you whether you want to receive them. Okay, one more oracle card. Perhaps this is actually a message to ourselves, seeing as I'm being all judge towards myself. Compassion. Now, what would you be if you offered compassion to yourself? We have a horrible tendency, right, to always think of emotions and concepts like compassion as only applying to other people. We have to be compassionate to other people, but can you be compassionate towards yourself? It's not that easy. The beautiful, fertile Kuan Yin holds the white lotus in her left hand and the pearl of enlightenment in the other. She arrives today to bless you with compassion, unconditional love, and acceptance. Residing in the realm of the ascended masters, she has heard your prayers and is asking you to be open to miracles. Sitting on the pink lotus, a symbol of peace and harmony, the mother of all humanity hears the cries and prayers of the people. She stretches her love to those who need it, giving support in times of grief and trauma. Her beauty, grace, and eloquence are captured by the aspects of the divine feminine: love, nurturing, forgiveness, and compassionate understanding. Known as a bringer of children, the graceful Kuan Yin nurtures fertility and creative endeavors. Growth in all areas is possible with the assistance of her fertile hands. She assists those wishing to release burdens around family and love. During times of great sadness and turmoil, she encourages us to nurture ourselves. It is only through suffering that we understand what is harmful and what is a burden to our soul's progress. Right now, Kuan Yin can assist you in removing karmic obstacles, emotional imbalances, and anything else that is holding you back from receiving love in all its purity. Softening our criticism towards others and understanding differences in opinions and perspectives allows us to communicate more effectively with friends, family, co-workers, and other members of our community. Having an open heart is essential for us to receive and reciprocate love to others. Removing expectations allows us to receive gifts with no limitations and accelerate their delivery. Soft and fertile offerings such as fresh flowers encourage this divine exchange of loving energy into your home or sacred space. Prayer. I graciously request Kuan Yin to place her fertile, healing hands upon my heart, mind, and soul to clear stagnant energies that are limiting my soul's potential to accept love and create in all its purity. And therein lies basically the essence of the entire reading thus far, is grief and being attached to the past, being attached to trauma, creates chaos, and therefore we try to control that chaos by restricting the scope. And then subsequently we are not open to compassion. We're not open to enlightenment. We're certainly not able to live in the moment. And we fall into poverty consciousness, and we fall into the dark side of the spectrum, where we see things from the perspective of what's the point. I don't want to open myself up to that again. I don't want to experience that again. I don't want to be abandoned, rejected, humiliated. I don't want to feel pain. So, Kuan Yin, we accept your help. We want your help. Thank you. Right? Are you with me? I thought so. So, let's get into our tarot quickly. It's a pretty straightforward tarot reading, so fortunately I won't have to go off into too many tangents. Maybe that's why I didn't get any clarifiers from Spirit. But our underlying energy is the world, end of a massive karmic cycle. Good news there. I haven't taken even it came out right away. Well, the world, and what do we get? We get the We Are the World card as the clarifier from Osho. So I'm reading this because it will set the tone for what the reading is about. That is the Ten of Pentacles. Where on earth is the Ten of Pentacles in the deck? Humanity is depicted here as a rainbow of beings dancing around the mandala of the earth with their hands joined together in joy and gratitude for the gift of life. This card represents a time of communication, of sharing the riches that each of us brings to the whole. There is no clinging here, no grasping. It is a circle without fear of feelings of inferiority and superiority. When we recognize the common source of our humanity, the common origins of our dreams and longings, our hopes and fears, we are able to see that we are all joined together in the great miracle of existence. When we can combine our tremendous inner wealth to create a treasure of love and wisdom that is available to all, we are linked together in the exquisite pattern of eternal creation. When thousands and thousands of people around the earth are celebrating, singing, dancing, ecstatic, drunk with the divine, there is no possibility of any global suicide. With such festivities and with such laughter, with such sanity and health, with such naturalness and spontaneity, how can there be a war? Life has been given to you to create, to rejoice, and to celebrate. When you cry and weep, when you are miserable, you are alone. When you celebrate, the whole existence participates with you. Only in celebration do we meet the ultimate eternal. Only in celebration do we go beyond the circle of birth and death. So, in our past, the energy that we're coming out of, we have that Page of Pentacles. So, Page of Pentacles is the most intentional learning card. It is an acceptance of humility an acceptance of the need to build slowly towards our goals, whether those be emotional or material, and in that space of acceptance, because our advice card, I'll just mix it all up here, was the Hanged Man. So that is the requirement of taking a pause in life in order to replenish our magic, our magical powers. And we get it clarified by the Magician, the Page of Pentacles, that is. So it's the emphasis on, in that humility, in that acceptance that, you're at the beginning of the journey of your next chapter. You have to cast aside all of the knowledge, all of the accolades, all of the rigidity of like, oh, I am this and I've earned this and this is who I've become and this is my title and this is, whatever it is that you limit yourself by. That has had to, the hand of fate has come in and sort of forced that out of your vernacular, and instead comes in with the opportunity for you to remind yourself of just how much you are the creator of your own, well, the co-creator of your own reality, because you have all the tools, all the elements in order to create exactly what you need in order to have the experience that you desire and that is also required for your karmic journey to continue on. And there's certainly no denying the simplicity of this reading, because at the center of our reading in the present moment is the Magician from the other deck, from the Rider-Waite deck. So clear indication that this is where we have reached. You are now in a position to harness that magic and create what it is that you want and desire. It's just a matter of living in the moment and understanding that whatever outcome you receive is yours to build upon. So, and it has the effect of this shift of the Wheel of Fortune, of changing everything about your experience, your journey. If you're open to it, if you see the power that you hold within yourself, rather than placing that power outside of yourself into circumstances that you feel that you can't control. I mean, this is a matter of perspective. Trust me, I know what restrictions are. I have been in the position where I felt terrible restrictions. I won't go into a recent experience of that, but I can tell you, for example, I remember when I was an adolescent. So I was living in Lyon, France. I had finished school. I was very aimless because my entire family structure had collapsed, and I'd been doing so for quite some time over the course of my adolescence. And I sort of was left to my own devices to figure out life and my future. And I was in a place that I didn't really want to be. My adolescence was coming to a close. I did not enjoy living in France. It felt restrictive to me at that point in my life. I wanted to move on to bigger and greater experiences. But I remember the period of time when I just felt a combination of excitement about the future, but depression about the circumstances in which I found myself, and thinking, well, I don't know how I'll ever get out of here. I tried everything. I tried going and interviewing for to become a steward for British Airways. That would have never worked out. I had, a desire for a knight in shining armor to come along, or, whatever chaos I could create, whatever I could either usurp through somebody else's experience, or I just remember it was a dusty, dry landscape of life at that time in my life. And when I shifted my perspective out of great chaos, because my best friend through my adolescence took her own life, and it was a very odd period of time when there was massive upheaval, very Uranian, And I had to force myself out of that downward spiral perspective. I had no guidance. I had nobody around me to really guide me through that time. And so I co-created by embracing new experiences, and as a result I met somebody who then in turn led to me moving to New York, and so on and so forth. My whole life changed, and it was purely by my own volition of manifestation, because that's exactly what I had decided I always wanted to do, and I made it happen. So this is the kind of magician energy that we're talking about here. Sorry to have gone off on such a personal tangent, but it just felt necessary to give you a solid example of how that can happen. But of course it's much easier when we're young, because we're not, we haven't had, 40 or 50 or 30 or however many years you've had in your life experience that tells you that this is the way it is. The truth of the matter is, trust me, you can trust my experience. I've never, ever, when push came to shove, trusted the tried and true restrictive regulations and rules that everybody else was following. And as a result of that, that's what has allowed me to manifest, albeit chaotic and disorderly, like excitement, adventure, opportunity, So remind yourselves of that. Let that be your guide. Our outcome for these cards this week, we have the Chariot and the Hierophant that came together. So again, you've got two aspects of like a combination of duality coming together to form a whole. And, it is divine masculine and divine feminine. In this case, it's the taming of chaos and order into an institutionalized way of thinking. That's your new way of approaching institutions, authority. We're coming out of Capricorn season this coming week as well, which is what this really indicates. This is Capricorn. We've mastered this. We've moved beyond the belief systems, the infrastructures that we no longer need to adhere to or believe in, rules that no longer apply, etc., etc. Of course, these things, they never go away. They just take on a new form, into a new way of approaching life. So you have a new set of authority, boundaries, what you uphold, what you respect, what you adhere to. And then this fuels the Chariot into moving forward. So I don't know where that Chariot's moving. Let's see if we can get a clarifier there. Again, reminding ourselves that our underlying advisory energy is the Hanged Man. So no matter what, this is also a time that, because of the potential for chaos and the unexpected and shifts in our environments, in the world at large, we have to also take the time to step back and quieten ourselves in our own private spaces and give ourselves the opportunity to better understand the circumstances and prepare for them. That is meditation, that is prayer, that is quietude. In order to move beyond the noise of chaos. Our clarifier on the Hierophant and the Chariot is the Empress card, so another major arcana. We've got a lot of major arcanas here on the table that I'm looking at. So what is this saying to us? Well, the Empress is a form of divine feminine mastery, and because the Chariot, basically you have, the Hierophant is a very divine masculine card. The Chariot is the conduit, the combination of the divine masculine and the divine feminine that move the wheel of fortune forward onto your next path, onto the next big journey that you're on in your life. And the Empress being the divine feminine energy coming in to fuel that chariot to move forward. The emphasis is very strongly on the idea that I'm seeing this combination here. You've got the Magician energy that is throughout this whole reading. You've got the Hangman that's throughout this whole reading. These are both potentially male cards too, but because of the emphasis on the Empress, it's a reminder that in your spiritual practices, in your quietude, in your solitary processing, tap into the divine feminine. That is to say, find the softness in your being. Don't be rigid. Don't be aggressive. Find whatever the conduit is to harmony and quiet, in spite of all of those things that are around you. And of course we have that compassion card as a reminder. Remember to apply that compassion to yourself. One more card. Okay, we'll just take one outcome card from the Osho deck, and then we'll call it a week, right? I feel that this reading really does reflect the energy of this time, because it is chaotic, and it is and it is that, okay, I've got the message full-heartedly from Spirit. The full moon in Cancer is about letting go of suppression. This is the card, these are the cards that came out. What are we letting go of? Suppression. So, I don't know how we'll read these, make them converge, but that is the Ten of Wands, and I will tell you, the Ten of Wands was our outcome in the previous reading that I did that I scrapped, so the message still came out regardless. I think letting go speaks for itself, so let's just go straight to, oh no, it's opened up here, so it obviously wants me to read. I'll just read this part of the message. In existence, there is nobody who is superior and nobody who is inferior. The blade of grass and the great star are absolutely equal. But man wants to be higher than others. He wants to conquer nature, hence he has to fight continuously. All complexity arises out of this fight. The innocent person is one who has renounced fighting, who is no longer interested in being higher, who is no longer interested in performing, in proving that he is someone special, who has become like a rose flower or like a dewdrop on the lotus leaf, who has become part of the infinity, who has melted, merged, and become one with the ocean and is just a wave, who has no idea of the I. The disappearance of the I is innocence. That's a requirement of going back to the innocence of being a child, and that inner child within. And when we lose that, we fall into the suppression energy. So let's read the suppression card, not because I want that to be the influence of our outgoing message, but because this is going to tell us exactly what intention to set in our release energy of the full moon throughout this week, just in case you watch it after the full moon. It's still there. So let me find this card. The figure on this card is quite literally all tied up in knots. His light still shines within, but he has repressed his own vitality trying to meet so many demands and expectations. He has given up all his own power and vision in return for being accepted by the very same forces that have imprisoned him. This is so on the mark. The danger of suppressing one's natural energy in this way is apparent in the cracks of a volcanic eruption about to take place around the edges of the image. Very Uranian. The real message of the card is to find a healing outlet for this potential explosion. It is essential to find a way to release whatever tensions and stresses might be building up inside you right now. Beat on a pillow, jump up and down, go out into the wilderness and scream at the empty sky. Anything to shake up your energy and allow it to circulate freely. Do not wait for a catastrophe to happen. Not that a catastrophe is going to happen, but with the Uranian energy and the emphasis on healing chaos in this reading, I would say that you should understand that the universe will provide many an opportunity for you to feel what we just read about and recognize it, and recognize the potential that you have within yourself as the magician to move that wheel of fortune forward out of that kind of repressive, suppressive experience. In Sanskrit, the name Alaya Vigyan, the house where you go on throwing into the basement things that you want, but... Sorry, I have to start again. The house where you go on throwing into the basement things that you want to do, but you cannot because of social conditions, culture and civilization. But they go on collecting there and they affect your actions, your life very indirectly. Directly, they cannot face you. You have forced them into darkness, but from the dark side, they go on influencing behavior. They are dangerous. It is dangerous to keep all those inhibitions inside you. It is possible that these are the same things that come to a climax when a person goes insane. Insanity is nothing but all these suppressions coming to a point where you cannot control them anymore. But madness is acceptable, while meditation is not. And meditation is the only way to make you absolutely sane. I mean, all of this goes along exactly with what we are talking about here. But again, the Uranian energy is throughout this whole thing. Very electrical, it's impossible to fully, I mean, everything's joined, but it's all kind of a big mishmash, right? So I'm going to let you figure out in your life how this will manifest and affect you. I'm sure you understand that yourself. I hope that you learn from all of this, and I hope it's actually, I mean, there's a lot of potential for excitement and adventure and love and kindness and joy in this reading. It's just about how you receive, right? So, and how you treat yourself. I love you. Namaste.